All right, welcome everyone to another Draft League Tour Captain's interview. We're here for the first iteration of the Draft Champions League, or the DCL, and I am joined by the captains of the team Land Before Time, Rousseau and Finchinator. So why don't you guys let the audience and the pool of players know a little bit about yourselves and your history with competitive Pokemon.
Sure. I could go first if that's all right.
And feel free
I'm
to.
Finchinator.
Yeah.
I'm Finchinator. I've been on Smogon since 2011, so I'm a little crusty, not gonna lie. But I run OU and I used to run NU on the Smogon side. But in terms of drafts, I've played in a couple tournaments. Most recently, Draft Premier League, and I'm really excited to take, I guess my talents, but really just my experience. I'm not sure I call it talent, and I'll parlay it into managing with my good friend over here.
Yeah, hey, what's going on, everyone? My name's Rizzo. We are the Land Before Timer captains, by the way, not Land Before Time.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. It's definitely dinosaur theme, but we love the timer innuendo there. Which thanks to you, by the way, for coming up with that for that idea. It was really awesome. So I own the largest public drafting server, and I also own the Draft League Smogon server as well. I'm one of the community leaders over there on Smogon, and I'm really excited to hang out with Finch and see what we can do this season. I did not buy myself, so I'm not playing. I'm not bringing my talent to the DCL, but I'm looking forward to managing anyway and seeing if we can shepherd a team to the victory line there.
Oh yeah, we got this.
Seems like both of you have taken on strong leadership roles, so excited to see you pair together, captaining your potential future team.
Yeah, definitely. I think
excited.
there's enough personality between the two of us, but I'm sure we'll make it work.
I'm really excited to work with him and also our players that we're gonna be drafting this weekend. You know, there's a lot of awesome players. The signups were just so awesome, and on top of that, I really just enjoying draft format right now, especially current gen, but also last couple generations. Just been really exciting, really stimulating. So I think we're gonna have one of the best tournaments in recent history, really.
No, I really think so too. And part of me is also sad because I know SCL is going on at the same time. So even though the pool of applicants that we have for GCL is fantastic, it's a great power level. It could be even better if we weren't competing with the other tour.
I think we're actually going to blow it out the water. And I'm saying that as someone participating very actively in both. So I think we're going to blow it out the water.
That's exciting.
Well, there you go.
Exciting. All right, why don't we move on to a couple of the questions I have laid out here. So first, are there any realistic expectations that you have set up for yourself as captains going into this upcoming season?
Speaking for myself, activity is of the utmost importance. I want to have a fun experience because I think fun and success go hand in hand. A lot of people, once they notice, oh, this is a team of people I can be friendly with, I can enjoy with rather than clash with, they're going to perform at their best. So I think establishing that at the forefront is huge, and I think we're going to really keen on that. We've got some good personalities from the two of us that work together well, and we're going to hopefully draft a great group.
I feel the exact same way. So one of the most important things for me is encouraging that team of players that you draft to want to feel like they want to click on the team server. Because every week you come in and you've got this team, you've got to prep along with everything else you have going on in the community, your personal life, professional life, whatever. If we create that team environment where somebody wants to log on, hang out in the team server, work on some stuff, shoot the shit, whatever they're going to do, that sort of environment is going to make the team more productive. They're going to have more fun doing it. Not only is that going to make us a more winning team, it's going to make the team experience better on the whole. And that's really what everybody's looking for, I think, at the end of the day.
Yes. And just to add on to that, the obvious first goal for, I know, us and hopefully every manager is to win the tournament because winning is king. But I think that all these components we're alluding to are what will make that possible and what's really the most exciting about how we're going to make that, that formula to success come together, if you will.
All right. Yeah, sounds great. I like that you guys are going to prioritize, the experience and allowing the players that you do draft along with yourselves to be able to enjoy yourselves throughout the season rather than, I mean, obviously you're going to have some type of emphasis on the results, but that's not going to be the main thing you guys are going to be, I guess, jetting for overall.
I think it's a trap that some managers will fall into, where they they draft this team of hard hitters and winners, and they want to just show up and beat everybody's brains out. But then invariably, Pokemon happens where maybe you have a bad week, you have an off week, an off game, and it throws you out of rhythm. And if the foundation isn't there to make the players want to come back and put in that extra effort that following week or following game, then suddenly nobody's having fun. Nobody wants to be there. And you see that time and time again around like the week 3, week 4 kind of post mids where playoff picture starts getting solidified, and it's crunch time for some teams, and they just don't want to show up because they've already set that precedence in their team server. So being able to kind of capitalize on that and hopefully keep it consistent throughout the season is one of the things that I'm going to try as the manager who's not playing to try and keep up with as well.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. A lot of managers draft an optimal spreadsheet team, guys who have X, Y, Z in their resume, but we're obviously factoring in how good we perceive players to be, but also looking at that intrinsic synergy, looking at those personalities, those experiences we've had beyond that spreadsheet, and kind of parlaying it all together. And that's why I think we're going to have such a great balance. And with his, just expertise when it comes to the interpersonal side and my ability to add both with that regard and hopefully as a player as well, it's going to just be really exciting.
VGC Finch is coming to you guys in about 2 weeks. Put it on your calendar.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'll reveal our top secret.
But yeah, I guess moving on, speaking of VGC, the DCL format is a little bit unique compared to former Discord draft tours we are accustomed to. But this season of the DCL, you are going to have tiers including Scarlet and Violet, which is the current meta, Scarlet and Violet VGC. I believe it's Regulation D that you guys are going to be playing with. And then obviously Sword and Shield, Yusum, and Oras as the tiers this season. So what are your thoughts on the DCL utilizing this format, the process to get these selected tiers, and then I guess I'll add on another question: why did you not end up buying yourself a slot to play this season?
If you want to lead off with this one, Finch, feel free.
Yeah, sure. So first off, I personally have a lot of experience in both Scarlet Violet and Sword Shield. I really do like both metagames. I'm really glad that we've got so many. We got 3 SV slots in particular, and that's awesome. With regards to Sun, Moon, and Oras, Oras I've always found very difficult. I think you have to have a very high level of skill and knowledge to play it, because there's so many tight situations with hazard removal and distribution of certain types that make it interesting. And Sun and Moon is kind of just like the awkward middle child for me, where I've just never gotten an opportunity to play it, if you will. So I'm very excited to see how they pan out, but definitely more knowledgeable about the big 5, if you will, the Scarlet Violet and the Sword Shield. And VGC is the great unknown, and I think it's so awesome that we have this tour as a grand stage for it with so many interested parties. The sign-up field is good. But with that in mind, that's not why I picked myself, going back to your second question. Not at all. Not for VGC, not for old generations, but it's going to probably be for SV or even SS, just because I've been playing those generations since they've been released, both in OU and lower tiers, as well as in draft. And I'm excited to be able to really display, maybe not only my core competencies as a player, but also my creativity, which I think hasn't been able to be fully flaunted just because of some limitations I've faced in prior tournaments. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of factors at play here. So not only are so I personally, when we were going through the administrative part of setting up this tournament, of trying to figure out, how many team slots we wanted to give, of what format, how many formats, whatever, I was personally of the mind that 5 formats was going to be too much. I feel like I am definitely in the minority in that opinion now. But it's been really cool. So I like that there is a wide gambit here, not just in singles, but also in doubles, for different players from throughout the community, rather than just our own sphere, but also players represented from different countries, right? So you have different German players. There's some Austrian players here. I know there's some French guys as well. In addition to all of the Americans and the other Europeans and whatever, being able to show up and be able to display the proficiencies that they have honed over the last 3 generations. I guess it's 4 generations. I really am excited for that. I think it's cool that we're still able to include metas like Oras and Sun and Moon because they display different knowledge bases and also who's been around the longest at this point. Because I know there were some people in the player pool who really only want to play the older gens because they grew up playing it. They've been playing it for years, and it's their comfort zone. Being able to provide captains with the obligation to say you don't get to just cherry pick the last generation or 2 in which a lot of the scene has kind of grown up. These older gens are going to matter as well, and to take that to a second degree, saying, hey, you can't just throw in X, Y, and Z singles player and tell them to figure it out, because guess what, you've got VGC as well.
Correct.
I think it's going to be really cool seeing that if there are going to be any teams that don't draft a dedicated VGC main, and whether
I'd be shocked by the way.
I think they're going to have to draft somebody, but whether or not they're the only people that play, or they have to sub out week to week, I could see that being an issue where maybe one team drafts only one VGC person, and maybe they're busy one week. You still have that dedicated VGC slot, so they're going to have to figure it out at that point. It'll certainly punish some teams, reward others, but I like that that's a planning factor that we are imposing on the managers. And it'll definitely make for an interesting season.
Some managers are going to have skill issues with that, and others are going to figure it out, and that'll be interesting to decipher both right away and as the tournament goes on, who's who in that regard.
Well, there's a bit of a stigma too. So especially in the Draft League community, I feel like for the last few years, as VGC has gotten a little bit more traction, there is the stigma that like high-level singles players kind of look down their nose at VGCs and they say, "Oh, that's weird. I don't like that. Singles is where it's at, right?" But that's a problem, I think, personally, because VGC is the recognized competitive meta, or one of them, right? Draft League isn't on the Pokemon Company's radar, but VGC is. So being able to incorporate that whole player base and bring them into our world is only going to be a good thing for the community, and that's why I think it deserves a spot in the
I'm happy with that regard too.
Yeah,
go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, yeah, it definitely feels like the DCL is trying to be more inclusive with a lot of not just newer formats, but be inclusive of all the generations. Obviously, there are some people who are in the crowd that we shouldn't even include the older generations anymore because it is pretty outdated. But I think keep holding on to at least like one game of each. Usum and Oras, which this tour is doing. These are the more foundational generations to starting the Draft League format. So I feel like it's a good idea to hold on to those. But I do like the greater emphasis on the newer generation. I feel like it's more inclusive to the fan base, especially since a lot of the Draft League community started to come up around, I guess, the Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet era. Like it's continuing to grow in these formats.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's pinpoint accurate.
And then there are a couple other changes to the DCL format compared to other team tours that we have played on Discord, and that includes the introduction of ties into the regular season, and I believe it's a point-based system now, rather than like strictly win-loss record. There's like a point system included, and then the win-losses are tiebreakers and stuff. What are your thoughts on integrating, I guess, that Smogon aspect of tours into the Draft League format?
So, speaking as someone who has played the SPLs, and all the other Smogon tournaments that have had even numbers, that's been fundamental towards my experience. Because if you lose week 1, say 3-4 or 4-5, relative to tying it, it's so much worse of a feeling. And a lot of people are going to be in it every week for the grind, no matter where they're at. But a lot of people, it's a game where you're volunteering your time. Let's be real with it. Are going to check out, and that is the unfortunate reality of the situation. And as much as I hate to say it, ties make it more exciting for longer. We've had so many tournaments where 10 teams and 8 of them are in it until the last week, or 8 teams and 6 or 7 of them are in it until the last week. And in my eyes, for something that, keeping people's attention is important. I think that's huge. I've also played a couple non-small gun tournaments where it's been like 7 or 9 slots, and we've had a couple of weeks not go our way, and that it feels like the worst feeling ever. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think you definitely, just in hearing you phrase it the way you did just then, I think has also helped me to kind of understand a little bit more why we chose to do this, which I know is probably not what you want to hear as somebody who's helping to put on the tournament, but whatever.
No, you're good. I mean, it's totally new things going on that small gun people are learning from draft people and vice versa. And I think having conversations like these alone is so awesome because we weren't having these years ago. So I'm just really happy regardless, honestly.
No, exactly. So for some of the people in the who might be listening to the video who are kind of unfamiliar, so we talked a second ago about how traditional draft league tournaments will have a best of 7 or best of 9, an odd number of games, so that there is that decisive point in the week where you say, okay, we won 4 games. We won the week, and then that's it. You can check out, right? Because then subsequently, the next metric that will determine your playoff seeding is way less important. It's it's like games won, and then head to head, and then differential, and whatever. But so long as you get those week wins, that's the huge important thing. And one of the things that I think has been super sad to see just about the tour community, especially as the years have progressed, is that sort of lack of motivation at around mid-season. I mentioned it a little while ago, but when you get to the point where playoffs are either really improbable or impossible, but you still have like weeks left to play, it's terrible because what do? Like, you just show up, you 5-minute prep, and then it's to the detriment of the tour, because not only are you possibly in a position in which you are providing less of a competitive presence to your opponents, who then may also be fighting for playoff seeding, you're just not having fun doing it because you showed up to compete, but you can't anymore because you're mathematically concluded. So I think it's going to be a cool switch for the community, who I know is pretty kind of against this right now, because everybody loves those game 7s where you get to the end of the week, it's like Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, and game 7 rolls up and it decides the week for you. It's awesome for the team that wins it, but man, does it suck for the team that doesn't. But being able to end the week on a 4-4 tie, you still get points added to like your total team point tally, which means you're not totally out of it, and you're able to better tie it up towards the end of the season, if I understand that right.
Yeah, so game 8 or 10 or however many slots in this circumstance is going to be game 8, of course, is very, 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 very important, and like game 7 in draft tournaments. Now, you might say, oh, but the difference between a win and a loss is different than the difference between a win and a tie or a loss and a tie, and that's correct, but points are still points. And the way small gun tournaments traditionally handle it is you get 0 points if you lose the week, 1 point if you tie the week, 2 points if you win the week. So, if you get 1 point every single week, but 1 or 2, and you win those 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to be a playoff team, even if you only win a couple weeks. And if those games that you would have tied the week end up all flipping to losses, then you're probably out halfway through the season. And it's a matter of maintaining competitiveness, interest. And I think it's done a really good job. We've very rarely had issues with activity or people asking for forced substitutions in small gun tournaments just because there's less room for that to happen. Now, what I will say is there's a certain mystique between like a win or go home, a win or lose outright type of feel, and I can't really counter that. It's true, that's real, but I don't think it's worth a ton when you throw a tie in. I think you might lose a little to gain a lot on the flip side, if you will.
Yeah, I love all of the points that you guys brought up. I definitely agree with that it adds a little bit more to like the competitiveness of each week, as well as the opportunity for a team to stay, interested throughout the season. Because I've definitely seen it a lot. A team gets up pretty high in the standings and they kind of just coast, or a team is basically out of it, and it doesn't play well into the competitiveness for when a team that's already out plays a team that's still fighting. could be kind of disadvantageous for another team that's has to fight a team that's still motivated, for example. So I feel like something like this, if everyone still has that opportunity, late season, hopefully most of the teams still have a fighting chance going into the last week. I think it's a great addition for those 2 points. But yeah, why don't we move on to the last couple of questions. So if you were to describe yourself or your style of captaining in one word, what would it be?
I guess I'll go first in that. Example. I'm not gonna when I was younger and in high school and college and started playing, I thought I could have all these big cool speeches, like I was some football coach in a movie and set some sort of verbal tone and lead the pack. But realistically speaking, we're all kind of like-minded folk here that like to play Pokemon. We have different personalities, but at the end of the day, I like to set an example by asking, in different chats. I'll try pop in, and even tiers I don't necessarily play, and asking, hey, what can I do here? Hey, how's this mock going? Hey, how's this set going? Just being friendly, being, interactive, and even being competitive. I try my hardest to win my mocks in my slot. I try my hardest to, find the best prep as soon as possible and kind of setting that tone for the rest of my team. And as someone who's playing, I think that fits well. And I think that leading by example, you need someone that does that. Not every leader, but you need one person on each team to fill that niche, I feel. And that's always kind of been where I've been.
Well, that was a whole lot of single words to describe his personality there, but I'll I'll be the yin to the yang there. So as the captain who's not playing, I think the single word that would describe me answering Sean's question would be invested. So this is the only activity that I have going on that I'm going to be actively involved in. I'm not going to be in any leagues myself while the tour is going, because I want to make sure that I am as attentive as I can be in the slots that I'm able to be. I'm okay with VGC. I'll do mocks and kind of put my head in and ask questions, but I'm not one to talk about VGC strategy in depth really. But for every other slot, I want to be involved, man. If you're going to prep for your game scheduled for a Saturday or whatever, I'm going to be in there every day, every other day. Hey, what's going on with this? You do a mock. What are you thinking about this set? I really want to be involved with the planning process that goes into the team that you bring, because I'm a firm believer in the draft league mentality that the more creative you are with your team, the harder it is for you to lose, because there's only so many ways. If you tailor a team super specifically to how you want to play to counter your opponent's 8, there's only what am I trying to say? There's only so many ways your opponent can come back from that. So you're just removing those win cons from them before they even load up the game. Being able to knock as many of those out before you even accept that challenge is what I'm shooting for every week. At least to enable it to the best of my ability.
And I think that's really awesome. Sorry, there's not much to add. I'm just yay.
So what was your one word, man? You had 80 or 90 of them.
Example was the first word I said and I used, and then I described it, but I realized that I ended up kind of keying away from example and just not being specific enough. I apologize, but leading by example. Example.
Got it. 3 words. Okay, got it.
No, just example. Screw the other one.
I'm messing with you.
So we have captain example and captain invested, and I think it's good to have both of those traits. They don't have to necessarily be in the same person, but yeah, you definitely need someone who can encourage the team and lead them by example, and then obviously have that support invested in the team and know that you got their backs, and hopefully they can reciprocate and enjoy themselves as well as get the results they're looking for, and you can help them get to those results.
It's so funny, just last little thing there. You said something a second ago, Finch, where you talked about you thought that you would be that motivational speaker or football coach in the locker room, whatever. You're in the team server, right? If you scroll back up through announcements, you'll see a few of those.
The right person
players and whatever, and I'm like, come on, y'all, we can figure it out. I love those.
The right person can do those. I just think you're probably more the right person than I am. I think for me, I got to be down in the trenches doing it by example.
All right, I guess we can move on to the next one. I guess we can answer this quickly, and then you guys can add a little explanation if you see fit. But
One word.
what do you look for the most when it comes to drafting a player in the auction? Whether that be like playing ability, their reception to or learning from criticism/feedback, reliable activity and team support, their ability to help with the drafting process, like drafting actual teams, or like team environment cohesion.
Motivation, and that's my one word. That is my one word. We're sticking with motivation, but to briefly explain it, I think that skilled players who have tasted success before are oftentimes motivated to repeat it or even one-up it, whereas up-and-comers are also motivated to find themselves in that winner's circle, find that playing time they haven't had before, and make that difference and have drafts. And I think that motivation kind of ties in different sects of players together, and we're looking for the most motivated bunch.
I think one of the things that is going to stick out to me about people that have either reached out to us or that I've interacted with personally has to do with like emotional intelligence and introspection. So what I mean by that is that I don't want to draft somebody who's a young dude who's very malleable, who is going to go with whatever the room wants. I need somebody to get on the team who knows what they're good at, knows what their play style is, the mons they work well with, and be able to really be a presence during drafting, because these are the teams that they're going to be using for the next several weeks. And if we don't set ourselves up for success in that drafting week, then it's not going to pay dividends throughout the rest of the tournament, and we shot ourselves in the foot. So
1,000,000%.
So for me, being able to look at the draft pool and say, like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows what he wants. He's experienced. Maybe he's got a little bit of an issue with his play recently, or he's not motivated or whatever. I can work with that. We can fix that. That's fine. But you have to come to me with that confidence and being able to say, hey, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Because then we can tailor it and we can work it out.
So a big emphasis on communication with their captains plus their teammates, essentially.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess a bit of accountability, understanding what strengths you bring to the table, but in a way too, would you prefer players to also work on their weaknesses throughout the season as well? Because I know sometimes people just push that to the side. They don't even look at, like, for example, most of the draft league players probably have no experience in BGC. Do you think they should be paying attention to some of the BGC conversations going on in their team server to try and learn from that, so they can actually bolster and improve, or I guess help support their VGC players and improve throughout the season?
So I would say yes and no. So it depends on the lens that player comes to the conversation with, because it does not. I would say that an uneducated opinion about a build or a mock or a play sequence can almost be more detrimental than if that person had not weighed in at all, because the value added to that point in that conversation, if it doesn't improve the play or improve the build, it just has to be framed in a certain way where this person X on the team loads up a VGC mock. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he's trying to help. That's fine. We love the go-getter attitude. But then being able to have that conversation either mid-game or post-game about, like, hey, you did this. Why did you do this? Okay, that makes sense. I didn't think about that. Being able to frame that sort of support in a way where it's like, I don't actually think my opponent is going to bring Toxic on one of his VGC mons, because it's not. Toxic isn't ran in VGC like it is in singles. Right. You measure your turn counts in 3, 4, 5, maybe even your game's done in 2 turns sometimes.
Wow.
But being able to, yeah, right. But being able to tailor that help and that support when you know that you're not knowledgeable is something super valuable, which goes back to my introspection piece.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Constructive criticism, being receptive, and being able to communicate, they all go hand in hand with that. It's huge.
All right, and then I'll just kind of finish it off, but then I have a little thing after that. But how confident do you guys feel going into the auction? Do you feel prepared? Do you have any reservations? And what are your thoughts on doing it on Showdown compared to Discord, which the Draft League community is accustomed to?
Very, very confident. We've been in communication for a while now. I think we both have some great ideas. He's been spearheading a ton of awesome ideas, and Really, we've had a good soundboard type of thing going. And regarding Showdown, I've done many auctions on Showdown already, so I guess the question doesn't really apply to me as much as other managers, but I've always found it to be smooth, good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it too. We've spent a good amount talking about a lot of the applicants, and I've obviously got some input from yourself and a couple others in regards to some of the people that I'm not super keen on. In regards to having it on Showdown, I am so excited that we're having it on Showdown, and I hope it winds up being. It's going to be really interesting because we have the DCL auction at 10 o'clock Eastern on Sunday, on the 17th. And Clash of Kings, which is another team tournament going on in the same sphere, is happening the same day, like 8 hours later. And they're going to have it on Showdown. I think it's going to be night and day difference in professionalism and how it looks. It's going to be a bit different in regards to the spectator experience because it's a little harder to go from Showdown room back to Discord, talk about the auction as it's happening.
We can make a chat room on Discord, probably. I'm not sure if we will, but it's been done. Sorry, on Showdown.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Whether or not anybody in the community really shows up to it, like we had a draft league room at one point in time, but it never got used.
So that's different community, different expectations. I get you.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't think the spectator experience is going to be as great, but it's definitely going to be ran better via the bot on Showdown as opposed to handing the reins to an auctioneer and saying, "Hey, good luck, figure it out."
Yeah, I'm with you.
Does the Showdown bot, does it have like a integrated timer?
Yeah, no, timing is quote unquote perfect. It's done by bot. All the auction commands, you can't really go wrong unless someone fat fingers a bid and bids 68 instead of 6 or something like that, and then you got to undo and it gets messy. But other than that, yeah.
I mean, so long as it's a legal 68, then you're stuck with it, Chief.
We're normally pretty generous, pretty courteous with that type of stuff.
Oh man, I think I did that once, maybe in PWS back in the day, or maybe Clash or something. I think I meant to type 5K and typed 15. Something crazy like that. I don't know, but I've definitely seen it happen too, where somebody means to bid 3 and they bid 30. It's like, well, you had the budget for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like every draft auction I've seen has had that happen at least once. So to keep tradition, we'll see if it happens again.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you're getting your draft bingo cards out.
Reverse dibs. Oh, we got to make a bingo card still. I forgot about that. That's a tomorrow thing.
That's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were all my main questions. I appreciate you guys giving your thoughts and, participating in my little interviewed escapade.
Looking forward to it. No, this was great. Thanks for hosting. And I know you're going to talk to the other managers as well, but I'm glad you got the best out of the way first.
Yeah, I definitely have to reach out.
Make sure to let them know that we're the best managers and everything's smooth.
I'll let them know at the start of every interview.
Yeah, just like preface every interview with that, and we'll be good.
Yep, with the team number 2, team number 3, team number 4.
But yeah, just to try something new and a little fun at the end. Just see the personality of each captain in regards to their Pokemon preferences. I have a little lightning round set of questions.
Oh man.
But yeah, you guys can just answer it as I go through them. So first one is Scald or Knockoff?
Knockoff.
Scald.
All right, Toxic or Will-O-Wisp?
Toxic.
Wisp. Are you serious?
Dead serious. Oh yeah.
High Jump Kick or Steel Beam?
Ooh.
Steel Beam or Steel Wing?
Steel Beam. Yeah.
Probably High Jump Kick.
Yeah, I'll go High Jump. No, actually, I'm not, because Close Combat's gotten a lot of distribution. We'll go Steel Beam.
Just thinking.
Both of them moves that will do 50% to you if you miss.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the Steel Resist. Special Steel type moves are in a lot less supply, so they're probably not going to be invested in special defense.
No, all my Pokemon have Flash Cannon, don't worry.
Oh, okay. Well, we're covered then. That's fine.
Hurricane or Air Slash?
Hurricane.
Yeah, Hurricane.
Hurricane, and then I miss and I get sad.
Yep.
Rapid Spin or Defog?
Defog.
Oh no, are you serious? No, Rapid Spin, man. And we're talking about Gen 9 for sure. Rapid Spin.
No, dude. I just maybe I'm a little emotional right now because unfortunately, Defog did not get a TM. Spoiler alert. But yeah, no, Defog all the way.
All right.
My man hates terrain. You hate to see it.
I do.
All right, U-turn or baton pass? And like dry baton pass.
It's got to be U-turn, right? It has to be U-turn.
Yeah, U-turn, but it's a great question.
Yeah.
All right. Stealth rocks or spikes?
See, and I'm going to say stealth rocks, and here's why. I feel like a lot of people get too hung up on setting multiple layers of spikes, when a lot of the times you really only need the one to accomplish what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Stealth
rock is my pick, and that's because having only 2 layers of spikes, exactly 2, is the worst thing ever. The end.
It's also a huge momentum sink to spend 3 turns setting up a thing of spikes, but then only 1 turn to get them removed. It's terrible.
Yup. Exactly. The opportunity cost you.
All right, Regenerator or Magic Guard?
Ooh, my favorites. I'm gonna go Magic Guard, but it's insanely close. Both are phenomenal.
I'm really not trying to be your counterpart, but I swear to God, it's Regenerator.
Not everyone loves Clefable. What can I say?
Yeah, no, fuck that, man. Fuck it.
Elite Pokemon.
I haven't seen like the draft orders or anything yet, but if we get an ORAS pick 1 slot, we are not getting Clefable. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not pick 1. No.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, we're in agreement there. I'm glad.
All right, the last couple here. Z moves or Terastallization?
Z moves.
Yeah, Z moves.
And then the last one, Tyrantrum or Garchomp?
Garchomp.
No. See, you had points, or you had an opportunity there, and you fucked it up.
No. You had an opportunity there, and you fucked it up.
Man, I gotta go with Tyrantrum. The shiny looks too good. And you know what? On that point alone, Garchomp sucks.
Garchomp has like no shine.
Yep.
I wish it had a cooler shiny. It's just like a desaturated version of itself.
Yeah, it's a non-factor.
They could have given it like the Gengar treatment and made him like white, like light gray. That would have been cool.
Well, maybe next generation.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
But yeah, that was the end of my lightning round questions. I appreciate you guys participating in that.
We appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you for hosting, always.
So yeah, for those who've made it this far and are still watching, appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the interviews as they come out, if they come out.
If they come out.
Yeah. Ooh, there's like a looming threat now.
Oh, yeah.